Peterbot and Acorn's trios have officially split. This is not clickbait. This is 100% real. Fortnite has now implemented a new rule change, which has meant the trios have had to split yet again. I'm going to talk about how we got here, what does it mean going forward, and what are the new trios. I also want to talk about how we have Pollo and Swizzy joining an org, and we now have Booga contesting the deal with his brand new trio. There's a lot to cover. Let's jump into it. I want to say I can't believe I'm doing this, but we are here to talk about how Peterbot and Pollo have now split and we're back to the original trios. I'm not kidding. It is not clickbait. This is ridiculous. We woke up today on a random Thursday in the middle of the Div 1 Cups to find out the news that Fortnite has changed the rules. They've officially changed the rules, and basically, to sum up this big tweet, the main thing they changed is you now can't make money from FNCS unless you're disbanded the team that you already qualified to LAN with. So previously, the situation was Pete's team qualified to LAN, Acorn's team qualified to LAN. They're not going to split. They want to play with the different teammates. They're just going to play FNCS, make money, and then go back together for LAN, right? That was the usual plan. Now, Fortnite has specifically changed the rules, I'm guessing because they weren't fans of how that worked or how that looked, so that now you can't make money in FNCS unless you either disband your original trio or you go back and play with them. So that's the position that Pete, Acorn, all 6 players are put in. They woke up today to find out they either need to go back and play with who they were playing with at last grand finals, which would be Acorn, Ages, and Pollo, and then Pete, Cold, and Ritual. They either need to go back to their original trios, or they all have to sign the disband forms so they can play with their new trios, but by doing that, they give up their LAN spot, and the spot would roll down to Vidil's team and Cooper's team on NA. Now, there's a lot of back and forward, everyone thinking about what was going to happen. Everyone was asleep except Pollo when this was announced, by the way. I DM'd Pollo. He said the same thing pretty much every pro said. We're just going to have to go back to playing with our original trios then. There wasn't really any crazy drama, no crazy smack talk. This has been such a ridiculous story. I think the most ridiculous story in Fortnite history. It's been going on for weeks now, and the result is just that. They're just going to go back to playing with their original trios. We're going to go back to seeing Pete, Cold, and Ritual, and we're going to go back to seeing Acorn, Ages, and Pollo. That's it. Don't worry. There is a little bit more to it than that. Of course, it's NA, it's Fortnite. Everything's been spiced. There's a bit of drama. I still think this might mean it's a little bit different for drop spots, but basically, as far as we've seen right now, all the players have been streaming with different people. I had a conversation with Pete. I haven't heard Acorn's point of view on this one yet, but I did get to talk to Pollo, like I said, and pretty much, yeah, all players involved right now said they're just going to go back to the original trios. There's no bad blood. It does affect the teams a little bit. So apparently it looks like we're going to have Pete, Ritual, and Cold stay at Crime City. That's Pete's job. That's what he wants to hold down. And then we're going to have Acorn, Ages, and Pollo go to Mast Meadows, which has been Acorn's drop. Now, as far as Pete's team, Pete specifically said he wants to keep IGLing. He likes IGLing. He doesn't want to go back to being a straight fragger, but he does think that Ritual is a very good tarper. So Pete was telling me what he's going to do is he's going to IGL the early and mid game. He likes the way he plays mid game better. He thinks he has better mid game calls than Ritual and a better mid game plan, which has been working. They've won both the Div Cup finals so far, but then Ritual is going to do the tarping in the end game, which is essentially like IGLing the end game. So he's going to decide which layer they go on. I'm guessing Pete's still going to make calls to maybe go for height or go low and maybe make overall calls, but for the most part, it's going to be Ritual who's tarping and putting them in different positions. So this is an interesting situation to see that we're in, and this is basically what Pete said was going to happen originally when they go back to LAN. Like, the worst that happens is Ritual now goes plays with Acorn and Ages, and he levels up. He has to learn how to fight better and be a better support player, and then he comes back, he's primed up, and I get to play LAN with him. And that's essentially what looks like it's happened now. Ritual, Acorn, Ages were looking really good, like I talked about. Ritual stepped into that fragger support role and has been doing really well with it, and that's now what he's going to play for Peterbot. So he's pretty much just filling Pollo's role. Pollo did also a lot of tarping in endgame for Peterbot as well, so I'm guessing it's just going to be the same thing. So we're pretty much just subbing out Pollo and getting Ritual. Now, as far as, you know, Acorn's team, their situation's very similar. Acorn is still going to be the main IGL. He always was. That's why Ritual stepped into that kind of like support fragger role. So it's going to be Acorn IGLing, it's going to be Ages fragging, and there's going to be Pollo being the greatest support player in the world, because that's just what he does. Pollo's going to be Pollo, and yeah, we have the 2 best teams on NA. Now, the thing I do want to mention, though, I asked Pete specifically, are you staying Crime City? He said, yes, he loves Crime City. The drop spot works for him, but we haven't had a chance to talk about Pollo's team and whether they're going to stay Mast Meadows. Now, I was talking about this before everything even went down. Pollo wanted to go Lone Wolf Lair. And then Pete wasn't in on the decision. We talked about this. Pete woke up and he was going Lone Wolf Lair, Clix's drop. And then later on in the day, Pete and them announced they're not going Lone Wolf Lair anymore. They're going to go back to Crime City. So I've interpreted that as Pollo likes Lone Wolf Lair, but Pete didn't. Pollo's not playing with Pete anymore. Now, I'm not going to say that Acorn's going to drop on Clix tomorrow, but I am a little bit interested to see what happens with drop spots because Acorn's team has the land spot, Clix's team doesn't. I know you're thinking, Aussie, last time Pete tried to con Clix, he didn't leave, and then Clix alphaed it. Yes, that is true, but Pete was doing phenomenally well out of Crime City. So far, Acorn's team is not doing insanely well from Mars Meadows. They came top 5 this most recent finals, which is not terrible by any means. So they might stay Mars Meadows. They might play out the whole season at Mars Meadows. But I'm just saying if there was a chance that someone switches drops, I could see Pollo's team going Lone Wolf Lair. I was talking to Rise about it. I don't know whether it's actually going to happen. There's just a part of me that's looking out for it. There's no way we've gone through all this drama, all this craziness. Fortnite changes the rules and it's just, oh, GG's guys. Everyone shakes hands, goes back to their trios, and nothing happens. Something has to come from this. I'm just so sure of it. There's no way it's going to be this simple at the end of all of this. The final cherry on top to all of this, though, is Epic waited until midway through Division 1 to do this. So, as far as this week's finals, which are taking place tomorrow, we still have the old trios, which are the new trios, but not the ones that won FNCS, the new trios that are now the old trios. You know what I mean? We've got Pete, Cold, and Pollo playing together because that's who they started Div 1 with. And then we have Ages, Acorn, and Ritual playing together. So that's why you're probably confused as to why I'm talking about Pete splitting new trios. Because if you look at the Div 1 leaderboard, they're still playing together because they have to. They played Div 1 together, and then Fortnite made this announcement after day 1 before day 2. And you can't split teammates midway through the Div Cups. So Fortnite decided that Thursday, after day 1 of Div 1, was the time to make this announcement. Not a week ago, not in 3 days' time, in the middle of the Div Cup. So Pete's team now knows they're splitting. Acorn's team now knows they're splitting. But they still have to play this week's Div Cups together. It's the last dance. And it's kind of sad because it looks like it's the last time we're going to see Pete and Pollo play together until after Globals now. Like, they're still going to play NA West together, which is hilarious. We've got Pollo, Pete, and Faxity qualing to Div 1 finals on NA West at the moment. I'm literally recording this as they're about to qualify. They're looking insane. Peterbot just got a mythic goldfish and 200 as 0 to player on a pre-fire off Faxity spraying with a minigun. A mythic goldfish, a 1 in a million chance of getting it, and they get it in Div 1 qualifiers. Like, I swear this game is scripted right now, but not the best timing from Fortnite on dropping this announcement. I really wish they did it a bit earlier. I think they could have done it a couple days after all this was breaking down, save the players some stress, but at least Pete's team gets to keep the money from the 2 cash cups they won. Acorn's team hasn't been doing too bad either, so it's not super harm done, but it feels like the timing definitely could have been better. It is also worth mentioning in all of this is going to get overshadowed now. We also have Pollo confirming he has joined an org. We don't know who it is right now. There are a few guesses going around. Falcons, Twisted Minds, one of which has been getting a lot of traction, Gentle Mates. Now, the reason why a lot of people are excited for Gentle Mates, they're a French-owned org in EU. If you watch any EU Fortnite, you know they sign players, and as part of their contract, that they stream their gameplay to Nikov. The French player does the watch party, and then he does watch parties of them with their gameplay. And a lot of people are hoping that Gentle Mates is signing Pollo so we could finally watch that team play. Now, Pollo's obviously not playing with Peterbot, which is going to make things a little bit different, but it's still going to be really fun to watch Pollo, Acorn, and Ages if that is the case. We don't know yet. We did see Gentlemates reply to Pollo's tweet. Swizzy also just joined an org, so a lot of people are thinking whoever Pollo's joined, the same as Swizzy. They both tweet out at very similar times they've joined orgs. Gentlemates has already signed Mustache, Swizzy's teammate. It could make sense. I'm excited to see. I don't exactly know which org it's going to be, but in all of this, it's going to be a bit overshadowed. But Pollo and Swizzy, 2 of the best players in the world right now, getting signed to orgs is really, really good for the Fortnite scene. Speaking of Swizzy, I want to recap what's going on with the Div 1 finals this week because we got a very spicy one. Swizzy is not playing with Mustache like he's been dominating with so far this season. Queasy, Swizzy, Mustache have won the first 2 Div 1 finals in a row, and unfortunately, their streak might be broken here as they've picked up Focus to fill in for Mustache. Now, the team hasn't split. Mustache has a school trip, and Focus is absolute crazy, by the way. I say unfortunately because I'm just assuming they're not going to win because they've never played together before, but I really, really hope Queasy, Swizzy, and Focus somehow do this. Focus been getting a lot of gas recently. A pro player playing on like 60 ping, I'm pretty sure. Absolutely dominating. Really excited to see how they go. They're going to be going Seaport. They are uncontested. Queasy was putting on an absolute clinic last week, so I really hope they can pull something off as well. Over on NA, Seaport City also has a lot of spice. We have Booga qualifying to finals with his new confirmed trio, Threats and Craze. They came 4th place overall, and they're going back to Seaport City, which is Booga, Threats, and Kanata's drops. That means Cooper, Vidil, and Sphinx are now contested. So Cooper's team woke up thinking maybe they qual to land. Pete and Acorn's teams might sign the papers. They disband. They've now got the land ticket. Turns out not only have they not got the land ticket, they're now getting contested at Seaport City by a Booger. So that's going to be very, very exciting to watch. We got a lot of other big teams across the board. Like I said on NA, we do have to see Pete and Pollo play on the same team. And then we have Pete going up against Acorn. Going to be a little bit less exciting this week. I'm kind of almost sad if Pete's team or Acorn's team wins it, because it's going to kind of suck knowing they're splitting up. But I hope Clix's team can pop off. We have Kanata playing alongside his new trio, G Money and Osid. OG, Dash, and Blake almost winning the opens behind Vidil. Muzz is qualified. Bolts, Rapid, and Yapko, who are back together again now, they've qualified through as well. We have Shadow, Curve, and Tyler back together. Joji, Donnie are now playing together as well. So we got pretty exciting finals both on NA and EU. Over on EU, we got the big names to expect. Chap, Shark, and Kiddo, who I believe are going to be going Crime City. I'm excited to see how they go with the new drop spot as well. We have all the other names to expect. We have Ping in there. We have Vanya. So we do also have Thomas HD's new trio, Thomas HD, Uppel, and Panzer. So Thomas and Panzer kind of swapping through teammates a lot at the moment. They've gone back with Uppel, who Savage was supposed to trio with. It was supposed to be Uppel, Panzer, and Savage. So it looks like Thomas HD has now rounded out that trio. I'm excited to see how they perform, because clearly they haven't been having the performances they wanted. We have Trulex playing with Teeny and Skivvy. They just came inside the top 33 as well. So it's looking like both finals are going to be very, very exciting still, despite after all this drama.